Recent rain that came last week, you may be noticing more mosquitoes out and about.
First Alert meteorologist Ben Beddoes spoke with an entomologist about some ways you can reduce mosquitoes around your home.
Summer continues to roll on, and one thing that is a part of summer in Kentucky are those pesky mosquitoes. You may be noticing that you are getting bit more easily, especially over these past few days.
Mosquitoes, their larvae, their immature stage, have to develop in water. They're filter feeders in water. So when we have situations where we have standing water, those are breeding sites for mosquitoes, and their larvae can build quite rapidly after these rainfall events.
While more comfortable weather arrives this weekend, you still are going to have to dodge these annoying pests.
We have a number of repellents that can be used. We also need to think about how we keep mosquitoes out of homes, to make sure you have tight-fitting screens on windows and doors that close properly are very helpful.
Besson says mosquitoes don't travel much in their lifespan, so it's critical that we make the environment around our homes as unfriendly as possible to them.
Some of the species that we have in Kentucky travel as little as 50 to 100 yards in their life, so it really matters what we do around our home to reduce these problems. Other places where mosquitoes can breed could be, gutters on your house that are stopped up with leaves and debris that hold water.
Another thing Besson suggests is to cut your grass. And if you do plan to spend time outside this weekend, do it in the middle of the day, as mosquitoes aren't as active late morning to early afternoon. I'm Ben Beddoes, WKYT.
Besson says most mosquitoes in our area are just going to be a nuisance and do not carry harmful pathogens such as the ones that cause West Nile virus.